Well, hello. As you know, my name is Ryan Rutan, and this week we are going over the unique aspects of the book of Esther and how the Jewish exile among the Persians would influence the author's portrayal of these events in the book. So, I would like to point out something that noticed in the book of Esther that it seems that the Jews in their exile would influence the events that are going on here by desiring to emphasize anything that points to the restoration of the Jewish people to their God from this exile. As we know, their disobedience and their sins before the Lord is what caused them to be in the place that they are. So, one example of why I believe that the author wants to highlight anything that points to them being restored, as a people of God to their Lord, is how Ezra highlights the reversal of the plot against the Jews. Their enemies had plotted by Haman, and it mentions there's many others who are wanting to destroy the people once this plot had been made and the king's edict written. So the enemies plotted to destroy them, but the Jews destroyed their enemies instead. And this points to a promise that's found back into the Torah, back to Deuteronomy, particularly 28 verse 7, where it says, the Lord will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you in 7 ways. And Deuteronomy 28:13 says, and the Lord will make you the head and not the tail, and you shall only go up and not down, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, being careful to do them. Now, it would appear that the author of Esther is wanting to highlight this. He's wanting to really zone in on how the people of Israel, the Jews in Persia, are now beginning to walk before the Lord faithfully. And this is done very subtly, but for example, I want to mention that the favor of God that's throughout the book is pointing to this promise being fulfilled. One thing that Jeremiah, the prophet, had actually written was in 29:7, was to seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile. That's the Lord speaking through Jeremiah. And pray to the Lord on its behalf for its welfare, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. So Mordecai saving the king's life, King Xerxes, from the plot against him, is exactly a fulfillment of this. This is precisely what Jeremiah is wanting to, the point that he's wanting to make, is if they were to seek the good of the land to which the Lord was sending them, then the Jews would find their welfare in that land. And eventually, as they obeyed the Lord, then the promises that we see also in Deuteronomy, where the Lord said, if I exile you, if I send you out and you in that land repent and seek my face, then you will be drawn back. I will bring you back, even from the ends of the earth. So we see in Esther this actually happening. And something that is so cool is that the author highlights this with joy and mentions the prosperity that the Jews experienced at the end of the book. Just as the Lord has said that they would be the head and not the tail if they were to walk before him in faithfulness, so Esther 9:1 says, when the king's command and edict were about to be carried out on the very day when the enemies of the Jews hoped to gain the mastery over them, the reverse occurred. The Jews gained mastery over those who hated them. So this is a fitting in to a book within the exile, written in the diaspora, of the exiled Jews who were exiled from the land of Canaan, but were not exiled from the presence of their God. So in this, we see God's faithfulness. In this, we see a people humbling themselves. It's not a perfect people, and it's never been a perfect people, but at the same time, we see God's faithfulness and grace throughout it. And it's encouraging, really encouraging to me to see how God just works in his people, even whenever they're least deserving of it, but seeking their welfare anyway, just because he loved them. No preconditions, only the faithfulness of God. So hopefully that blesses you, and look forward to the weeks ahead and watching the videos that we see here in these discussion boards. God bless.